Welcome to APTN National News on this Tuesday, August the 6th. I'm Dennis Ward. We begin in BC, where water has begun spilling over a massive landslide, damming the Chilcotin River in the central interior of the province. The slide happened last week at Farewell Canyon, around 22 kilometers south of Williams Lake, creating a lake about 11 kilometers long. Debris began flowing downstream from the Chilcotin River landslide area Monday morning. Provincial officials say expected fast-moving waters poses a risk to human life, and there's risk of further landslides. Evacuation orders have been issued in areas along parts of the Chilcotin and Fraser rivers. Officials ask that those living close to the rivers stay away. The Chilcotin National Government, which relies on salmon from the Chilcotin River, says it has major concerns.
We should have our salmon run going on right now, and now with the slide, there's no passageway. Whatever salmon's in the river system, they're darting off in neighboring streams and creeks and stuff like that, and I guess waiting for the debris to the dam to clear up.
The Chilcotin Nation chiefs are just wrapping up a press conference right now about the current situation with the landslide release and discussing next steps. We'll bring you the latest tonight on your APTN National News. Mountain Cree Chantal Sirois, who is from Grand Cache, Alberta, who competed in an ultra marathon called the Death Race over the weekend, which is a grueling 118 kilometer long run. APTN's Chris Stewart spoke to her about what it takes to finish this challenging event.
This isn't your average marathon. A full marathon is just over 42 kilometers in length and can challenge the best runners. The Death Race, held in Grand Cache in northern Alberta, is almost 3 times that length at 118 kilometers. It has runners going up 3 mountain summits, crossing freezing rivers, and over 5 kilometers of elevation changes. To make it to the finish is the most important goal. 34-year-old Chantal Sirois competed her second solo ultramarathon this past weekend. She told APTN that there were many challenges along the way.
We had such a dry summer, like all of the streams and little creeks that you would get some refreshing and cool down in. They were all dried up, so you couldn't, even when you did have a little stream to dip your hat in or something, the water was warm. So there was not much relief.
She says it was the most physically demanding 22 hours in her life. It took her 22 hours and 47 minutes to complete.
You're going straight up, so right off the bat on leg 2, as I started climbing, I had felt a bit of nausea right away. And so feeling sick to your stomach is a challenge, because it's important to keep your nutrition up if you're going to be out there for as long as you are. So forcing yourself to try and get something down without it all coming up, trying to get your water in. So you have to take salt tabs and stuff to keep your electrolytes and all of the cramping at bay.
And what was it like crossing the finish line?
But the mental gruel to get through to the finish, to push yourself through, despite all the pain and discomfort you're through, once you reach that finish, I don't know how to describe it. It's just so emotional, in the sense of like, you can't believe that you endured the level of suffering that you did.
She told APTN that she might do it again next year and hopes to see more Indigenous competitors. Better her than this reporter. Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Edmonton.
That is bonkers. Congratulations, Chantal, and everybody who managed to finish that race. Well, the annual Treaty 5 Summit is set to begin this week at the Lower Fort Garry National Historic Site outside of Winnipeg. The event started in 2018 and is attended by all the First Nations in Treaty 5 and is being hosted by Tsilhqot'in First Nation this year. Some of the topics include sovereignty and Indigenous laws, developing a Treaty 5 framework, and understanding the agricultural benefit claims process. T.R. Wheatley was on site yesterday and spoke with host chief Tony Travers of Tsilhqot'in First Nation.
So we're here at the Lower Fort Garry National Historic Site, where I'm joined now by Chief Tony Travers. Tell me a little bit about this summit this week.
Hi, it's Chief Tony Travers, live at 5 from Treaty 5. Chilcotin First Nation. We're hosting the annual Treaty 5 Summit from Lower Fort Garry. It's being held on August 6th, 7, and 8 at the just outside of Winnipeg.
Yeah, and so tell me a little bit about some of the people. You said there's a lot registered already.
Yes, we have 1,200 registered as of Friday, but we're the walk-up crowd usually is pretty large, so we're expecting a couple thousand at least here.
And so this, how many nations will be here?
There's over 40 First Nations that are a part of Treaty 5, so we're expecting a representative from each and every one of them.
So why is it so important to have a gathering like this?
To commemorate our historic treaties. I think we're focused more on actually enforcing our treaties now and enhancing our treaty rights with our First Nations people.
So some of that includes talking about, I guess, Indigenous sovereignty and Indigenous law?
Yes, exactly. What we're trying to establish is that our treaty rights are mobile. You know, you can take them wherever you are. Your treaty rights should be yours to use. You know, your right to education, right to health services, housing, and things of that nature.
And then I guess one of the bigger topics, the agricultural benefits, aka cows and plows.
Cows and plows. I've got cows and plows on my mind every day. I've got a band member usually calling, "Where's my cows and plows?" But we do have, I know our First Nation is actually in the process right now of negotiating for our claim. They have an expedited process now, so I think a number of the Treaty 5 First Nations are now in the process of either being recognized for their claim or are in the process of establishing their claim.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just talk about some of the other stuff that is expected this week here.
We have a number of dignitaries from various First Nations that will be speaking. I think the Premier will be here tomorrow to say some regards. I know the Grand Chiefs will be here. A number of chiefs from the local areas that will be invited to speak. So we are, like I said, we're expecting a large crowd, large attendance. I think pretty much half of my First Nation is here. We do have a campsite set up just outside here, so we have other membership that are staying in local hotels.
And then from my understanding, this kind of rotates and goes to different communities, so it's kind of every year you guys kind of move around, right? Yes,
usually there's a host nation for the annual celebration. This year we are the host. Our First Nation is 265 kilometers away from Winnipeg. We don't actually have the facilities to host it at our home nation, not as of yet, but Lower Fort Garry was the site that was previously used, so we were able to use this site again.
And then obviously, you know, we're talking about treaty issues, the importance of sovereignty within the Cree Nation. Well, not just the Cree, but all the nations that are represented in Treaty 5, rather. But, you know, it's also a family event.
Yes, exactly. I know we have a number of families. Like I said, I think that's one of the biggest things, is to teach our young people about their treaty rights, our treaty history, and the reclamation of their rights as sovereign people of the first peoples of this land.
And so obviously Treaty 5, but I guess, are you welcoming everybody to come if they want to come check it out?
Yes, all nations. We're hoping to have a large attendance of anyone that would like to attend. It's 3 days of events. There's various presentations. We have a number of teepees here that are set up where we'll be doing some learning as well. We do have a sweat lodge set up in the back, so I think there's two sweat lodges a day. Men, women, transgendered, LGBTQ are all welcome.
Mm-hmm. All right, so thank you for your time today. And like he said, this is happening here all week at the Lower Fort Garry National Historic Site. So if you're in the area and you want to check it out, like he said, everyone's welcome. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, TR. And Chief, Métis woman from Winnipeg is off to Sweden to take part in the World Baton Twirling Championships. We'll bring you her story and more after the break. Welcome back. Two First Nations in Northern Ontario are coming together for what is being called a historical cultural event. CTV's Lindsay Alick shares the details.
Two canoes, two nations, joining together in a journey along the Chilcotin River to the Iroquois and Anishinaabe battle site at Collins Inlet.
The historic value in it is our communities. This is the first time the two nations have paddled together in the same boat on this water to a site that once echoed battle between our two nations. So today's about unifying.
It's important for our visitors to understand that yes, we have similarities, but we are different as well. Having different land bases and different teachings and histories, there's so much to learn across Canada and even in Ontario, and we all have different stories, but yeah, quite similar. And it's nice to see the two nations coming together to just show that alliance and show Indigenous tourism why we're here and what we're here to do.
Youth, elders, and invited guests shared wampum belt teachings, oral history, traditional foods, and symbolic gestures of peace and goodwill. The cultural exchange doesn't end here, though.
Day 2 will be at the Wakwamkong Arts and Music Festival, where our Haudenosaunee friends will share some of their smoke dance and some of their culinary experiences on the main stage at the music festival. And then on Saturday in our cultural pavilion, it'll be a little bit more intimate, where they'll again share the history of the smoke dance, and then they'll also do some corn experiences, some culinary experiences at the pavilion.
The two nations say they hope other Indigenous communities see that partnership between nations is beneficial for all.
Using Indigenous tourism as that vehicle to have that nation-to-nation dialogue, but to also inspire some communities to use Indigenous tourism as a way to reclaim those stories and to share some of that history.
The cultural exchange will continue in 6 nations from August 16th to the 17th when Wakwamkong Tourism visits the Haudenosaunee territory. Lindsay Alick, CTV News, Killarney.
A Red River Métis from Winnipeg will be spinning her way to Sweden for the World Championships in Baton twirling. Taking place this week, APTN's very own Laura Timtinshin will be competing against 17 other countries for gold. Sav Jonesa met up with her during one of her final practices.
For 15 years, Laura Timtinshin has been honing her skills in the sport of baton twirling. Now, the 24-year-old is off to Sweden to twirl in the 2024 World Championships for the second and last time.
It's intense. It's pretty overwhelming when you get there, but it's so amazing to watch the best of the best, be the best of the best on the floor, and to learn from those people as well and just be a part of it.
Timtinshin isn't new to competitions. The Red River Métis competed in her first national championship when she was 11 years old and brought home gold with Team Canada in an international competition 2 years later. With 5 other international competitions and 2 silver medals under her belt, Timtinshin says after this championship, she'll turn to coaching.
It's kind of a different challenge, I'd say. Instead of you having to put the pressure on yourself to catch the next trick or do the next big thing, you're trying to help little ones figure out who they are in the sport and what they can do. So there's 3 main aspects of baton. So aerials, which is your big tricks, throwing the baton in the air and doing gymnastics or spins underneath it. Then there's contact material, so it's really fast flips really close to the body and always keeping the baton moving. And then rolls, so rolling literally on your body, on your elbows, on your neck, on your arms. So those are really the 3 main components that put together a routine.
The illusion cartwheel is her favorite trick to perform. There are around 18 countries competing in the World Championships. To beat the pressure, Timtinshin says she focuses on having fun and enjoying herself.
I used to think a lot about what other people thought about me, and recently in the past couple of years I've just been twirling for myself. So that's been really a huge change for me. Yeah.
What kind of changes have you noticed with that?
Just my confidence level, I'd say. The worst thing that you can do in baton is drop on the floor. So it's a penalty every time you drop the baton during your routine. So I found that I was droppy and coming off the floor, even if I only had 1 drop, I'd still be upset with myself just because I was always thinking about, oh, that person in the audience saw me drop, or maybe my parents aren't proud of me, or whatever it may have been. And yeah, just learning to twirl for myself and for my coach, that was a really big improvement for me.
Despite the rigorous training and agility necessary to excel at the sport, Tsilhqot'in says not everyone respects it. Baton twirling wasn't recognized as a sportive association by Sport Manitoba for many years and still isn't recognized by Ontario's Sport Federation.
It takes so much time, so much dedication, just like any Olympic sport or hockey or basketball or whatever it may be that you're doing. So many hours in the gym, so much dedication. It takes the same amount of work as any other event, I think even more sometimes, keeping your flexibility up, keeping your skills up, always pushing to do the next hardest trick, more elements under the baton. So I'd say to the haters that it's a real sport.
The World Championship event takes place August 4th to 11th in Sweden. Sav Jonesa, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Wicked stuff. Good luck, Laura. We'll be waiting to see how you do. Indigenous tourism is booming in the heart of the country, according to a new report by the Conference Board of Canada. In Manitoba, the number of Indigenous-owned businesses more than doubled between 2019 and 2023, jumping from 81 to 170. In the last year, the province's Indigenous tourism sector added nearly $91 million to its GDP, $124 million to Canada's GDP, and created over 2,000 jobs. Arts, culture, and heritage-focused ventures like cultural festivals, artist markets, and museums dominated the sector, followed by accommodation and recreation and outdoor activities. The report says the recent growth underscores the need to continue empowering Indigenous communities through increased economic opportunities and cultural preservation. A youth from Peguis First Nation has recently returned from the 2024 Paris Olympics and the United Nations in Geneva. More on that coming up after the break. Welcome back. Here's a look at your current conditions. Showers and 21 in Halifax, rain and 25 in Fredericton. 8 with rain in Kuujjuaq, showers and 10 in Nain. Sun's out in 24 in Montreal and Val d'Or. 26 in Sault Ste. Marie, 24 in North Bay. Showers and 23 in Thunder Bay, rain and 20 in Tsilhqot'in. Chilly and showers, 15 in Thompson and God's Lake. 20 with rain in Winnipeg, 21 and showers for Dauphin. 24 with rain in Regina, 19 in Saskatoon. 19 with rain in Meadow Lake, 22 in showers in La Ronge. In northern Alberta at this hour, showers and 25 in High Level, 23 with rain in Fort McMurray. 18 and rain in Edmonton, 20 and showers in Lethbridge. Sunny high of 22 in Vancouver right now, 30 in Kamloops. 24 in Prince George, 27 for Smithers. 29 under the sun in Old Crow and Whitehorse. Sunny and 20 in Yellowknife, 33 under the sun in Norman Wells. 14 in Sax Harbor, 32 in Inuvik. 17 in Chesterfield, 23 and sunny in Baker Lake. 10 in Resolute, 18 in Joe Haven. A youth from Peguis First Nation in Manitoba has just returned from the experience of a lifetime. Josh Gandier was a special guest of the International Olympic Committee at the opening ceremonies of the Summer Olympics in Paris. Gandier is a youth chief with the Southern Chiefs organization, which represents 34 First Nations in southern Manitoba. Treshelle Bunn is also a youth chief with SCO. Creason spoke with them both last week.
Josh and Treshelle, thank you for being here. Thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedules to be with us in studio. Josh, my first question is to you. The Paris 2024 Olympics are in full swing. This year's opening ceremony saw the biggest viewership in more than a decade, but you had a front row seat. Can you tell us about that experience?
As a college athlete, I played basketball, and to have a chance to witness the Summer Games in person, it's a dream come true. I got to attend the opening ceremonies and welcome all the athletes as they came in, and I got to see some Canadian Olympians compete in some swimming competitions, and to see Summer McIntosh in person was a really special experience. And then also to see Team USA basketball play Serbia is like watching an NBA All-Star team. As a basketball fan growing up, dream come true.
Yeah, no, exactly. That sounds like a lot of fun. Josh, you've also had quite the summer. You also went to Geneva, Switzerland to take part in a session with the United Nations. What was that like?
Again, unbelievable. To start my summer, I was in an international law program through Queen's University. So I was starting to learn the systems on the international level, the UN being one of them, and to learn about it in school and actually go and participate, have a chance to speak and meet everybody working in the UN system. It was a very practical and amazing experience.
That's awesome. Treshelle, what do you think it means to have First Nations youth representing on the world stage like this?
I think it's really important, and I think something that the SEO Youth Council and both Josh and I are really passionate about is making sure that youth voices are involved within every space and every place that decisions are being made. So I think SEO taking us to the global level, the international level, really speaks volumes to their commitment to empowering young people like myself and Josh and our fellow youth council members. I think it's just so important. I think so often youth are told that we're the leaders of tomorrow, the leaders of the future, but I think letting young people know that we're the leaders of today as well is so important, and being able to prepare us to one day fill those big shoes on and to be able to advocate on the international level is so important. For sure. And Treshelle, you and Josh are both in law school to be future lawyers. How important of a role do you feel the SCO youth chief is for both of you? Honestly, I think I never really ever imagined when I was elected youth chief the opportunities that would come along with it, and to be able to work alongside and learn from Josh both in law school and then together as youth chiefs, I think it's been amazing. And SCO and the youth council position and the youth chief position has been really instrumental, and I think in the development of Josh and I's career now as young people, but I think it'll also hopefully propel us into the future as well, so we can continue being advocates for young people and for our communities.
And how does your role as youth chief feel for you in moving forward here?
It's been about a year and a half now, and we're going to be wrapping up our terms as youth chief. And as the role of youth chief ties into law, we've everything we've been learning in school, and to be able to use that with our leadership and enhance our capacities for leadership with the legal education. I hope up and coming Indigenous students, First Nation students can look at the role of youth chief and see it as a very practical way to tie in that legal education with leadership. And we're excited to help bring in the next youth chiefs and keep the SCO Youth Council going strong.
And most likely by next year we'll have the next SCO Youth Chiefs here as well. Josh and Trishelle, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Two great advocates there. Thanks again to Josh and Trishelle for coming in. That's all the time we have for your APTN National News at this hour. You can find much more and stay up to date with the latest headlines over on our website, aptnnews.ca. And I will be back here at 6 p.m. Eastern with all the day's news, including the latest on that Chilcotin landslide. I'm Dennis Ward, Marcy McGuitch. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you back here in a couple of hours.